2019. And the main reason we're not doing top 5. He has 5. I might just call it disappointing movies because I really just had 3 that I was mostly disappointed at.
Okay, obviously, there's only 2 or 3 for me.
Because there's certain, I think every single movie there's something I'm disappointed in. I wish this would have been a longer scene or something. But there was 3 movies that stood out in particular.
If you did 3, then I really only have 3 main ones too. 3 of them were really not they weren't disappointing. There was just parts of it that were disappointing. So I guess I'll go ahead and just I'll just let me just say the 3 that I think are the least disappointing as being honorable mentions. My only honorable mentions for this one are Crawl, which I did enjoy that movie, but there was stuff about it that I think could have been better and done more. Just make it, I don't know, it's just, I wasn't, as you can see by my score by that, it wasn't a great score, so I was a little bit disappointed on some of the things, because there was such an easy premise, and I wish they would have used more animatronics, just some of the alligators were not, some looked really real, but some did not. Just have more realistic scenes, I would have enjoyed it more. And then, Spider-Man Far From Home was another one for me that, it wasn't bad, I gave it a good review. There was just parts of it that I wish, they spent too much time with, relationships, I thought, and, it could have been one that I enjoyed more, but I still enjoyed it. It wasn't disappointing. It was an honorable mention for almost making the list, but it was still good.
Average.
Yeah, it was average. And the last one, which I really enjoyed, I think, that I wanted to mention here really quick was Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
That's gonna be on my list.
Because it's not on my list, but because I enjoyed it more than Kenny did. But there's pieces to it that are very disappointed with what they did and how they decided to go moving forward, and. It didn't make my list, but because there's some things that I loved about Rise of Skywalker, and there's stuff that was very disappointing. So I can't put it on the list because there were some very good things in it, but it's almost on that list for me for disappointing.
And these are just all disappointing. I think we just have to start out talking about Captain Marvel because it's just bad.
Yeah, Captain Marvel is
this isn't a list, but this is just Captain Marvel. If you saw our reviews, we burned the tickets. This movie is a disgrace to film. This movie, not only, I wouldn't have been as mad. This movie makes me so mad because it's not just a movie off to the side like Cats. I don't care. Cats, I'm not going to see. Just like a movie, if it's really bad, off to the side, okay. But you put it in a universe, one of my favorite universes that hasn't had any BS or political stuff, and you just F it up, and you F up everything before it. That is just bad. That is really bad, and it just makes me so mad. This movie is just a political message after political message, and if you side with those politics, then maybe you'll like this movie. But it's just so bad that they decided to F up this universe. And right before Avengers, do it after when nobody cares, not before. I don't know what you have to say about it.
Obviously, we both have the same opinion on this movie. You can obviously look back. This is we're not reviewing the movie again, and this movie just definitely. Just the fact that it was right before Endgame, and it just effed up a bunch of things, and it was probably easily the worst movie of 2019. It was not only was it disappointing, but it was also just terrible. There was nothing good about it.
Yeah,
there's not one good thing about it, and it was just one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I have to say is. People are going to say you don't think it's disappointing because you want to hate it from the get-go. That's why it's on this list. Yeah, that's why it's on this list, because we watched the trailers. We said, okay, we're giving it a chance. It's the Marvel Universe. I'm definitely disappointed to see what they did with this movie because it effed up everything else. I did not just want to hate this from the beginning. We watched the trailers. We reacted to them. We were like, okay, that's fine. We didn't think it was great. Like most trailers, we usually aren't flipping out for any trailers. And they didn't push any stuff in the trailers, so we thought it was a normal movie. And I'm really disappointed to find out what they did with this flipping movie and how
when we saw the teaser for Infinity War, when you saw Nick Fury page someone, we were like, oh, who's that? I want to see who it is. And the trailers we were actually interested in, we started to get a little bit worried as it got closer to the movie. But when the first trailer came out, we really enjoyed it and thought it looked pretty decent. And we gave it a chance. He went in there and we're beyond. Just screwed and just disgusted and just I about left the theater, threw my chicken wings at the screen.
I really don't remember most of this movie, but I remember the stuff they effed up in the universe. I cannot forget Nick Fury's eye because of the cat.
Honestly, this movie probably single-handedly affected Endgame's rating on our best movies of 2019 because that easily should have been our number 1, but instead it's our number 2 because of. That's a big aspect of it. It's not the only aspect, but that's probably the biggest one for why it derailed that movie, in my opinion.
How is Avengers not our number 1? How does that happen? Because of that.
But yeah, so that's easily the top disappointing and the worst movie of 2019. And I don't know what your other 2 are, but my going the next one up, most disappointing for me, is one that is really is very disappointing, and I actually have a thing behind me to show it here.
Toy Story? No, Annabelle.
Annabelle Comes Home.
Well,
For me, this movie was. It was also a horrible movie experience because we had a horrible group of teenagers in there.
Yeah.
Also, it was disappointing for me personally because the entire time I saw this movie, I saw, oh great, they have Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga in this movie. It's going to be them taking on the Ram because this is the third film of the Annabelle trilogy. And I'm like, okay, good, they're going to take out the Ram here. And there's just a cool premise, being in their house, all those relics, all this stuff going in. And then it starts out, and you see them, awesome graveyard sequence. And then all of a sudden, they leave, and they're not in the film for the entire film until the end.
Yeah.
And now, the one bright spot of the film was the little girl, their daughter. She did a great job because she was raised by those two. But it's not like the babysitters did a bad job. But just from my opinion, going in, I was expecting like this boss sequence of like taking on the Ram, finally beating the Ram because the Ram was undefeated going into this film, and just totally unaffected by anything. And then to find out that this movie was, I started to tell from trailers that this was going to be more about the babysitters and stuff, but just for me personally, there was that was major disappointment, and also this, I heard there'd be a werewolf in this movie, and that was easily the biggest disappointment. The biggest disappointment as far as the demons go. There were some really cool aspects to the film, like our score was not bad, but just for me personally, it was definitely disappointing because I'm such a huge fan of this universe. I mean, we're huge fans of this universe. We've reviewed every single movie. And while it was better than the first Annabelle, it was just nowhere near Annabelle Creation, and it just could have been so much more. And it didn't give me enough Ram either. When it ended, I looked at Kenny and Megan, and I was like, "Is it really over, or is this like a dream sequence?" And they literally just pushed him back in the box, and that was it. This was not a very good watch for me. I want to see it again. We need to see it again, but it's definitely my second most disappointing film in 2019 because I had such high expectations for this film and this universe overall.
Yeah, that I just remembered. I thought it wasn't that. When you said werewolf, though, that made me remember that. Yeah, that really, this movie had great ideas and great execution on certain aspects. But yeah, Ed and Lorraine Warren, you want to see them on screen. They're great actors, and yeah, all the actors in it, the babysitters and stuff, they were good.
Yeah,
they were definitely good. They got the job done in certain aspects, but obviously they don't know what they're doing, so it's a little frustrating with that. But yeah, the werewolf. They had the setting for that perfect. They showed the creepy picture, and I just don't know why they decided to. That scene was just so underwhelming. They had a chance to have a creepy animatronic or something, for the werewolf. But when we saw that,
get taken out by a guitar.
Yeah, then he hits him with a guitar. That makes no sense. How do you hit a demon? So that took me completely out of the movie, and there was certain stuff that redeemed it a little bit. I think I gave it a good grade.
Yeah,
that really, he hit it with a guitar. That absolutely took me out of the movie, and that's why it's definitely a disappointing movie for me.
It's just that it's like when you have The Conjuring 2, Annabelle Creation, you set your standard this high. You have to be able to meet that standard each time. And while there was aspects to it that did meet that, like the ferryman, the little girl's performance, the Ram. Annabelle did a phenomenal job in this film, but it wasn't her fault. It was the decisions they made of the storyline, and I'm hoping they make another one, which I heard they are. But it's just like this was the third film of the trilogy. I thought they could cap it off with an epic ending because they really built her up in a good way in the second film of this trilogy. And then what I was disappointed from Annabelle Comes Home was they had just done La Llorona, and there was a wedding dress lady in this movie, and they did not do her anywhere near La Llorona.
Yeah.
So it was like another step down in that aspect. It's just like the ferryman was really the one bright spot demon, and the Ram did his job. The knight, he was neither bad or good. He was just kind of there. He didn't do much.
I guess I was about to say there's too many demons, but I guess it makes sense because all the
I like that idea.
Out. But yeah, I definitely think. Yeah, I thought the dress lady did better, but yeah, it's way too similar.
And they had the boyfriend element to it, which is just we do not need to see that because it just
that does not need to be.
This character that was just a storyline that took away screen time for the Ram, and this is that girl. You're not going to see this girl ever again. You might see the daughter again because that's their daughter, but these babysitters, they're not. This is their one story. It needed to be like a quick little thing, maybe like a mention here or there. But that was a major storyline in this movie, subplot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's our number 2, and then the last one that I had on here, I don't know what's your other one.
Well, my last disappointing movie was Star Wars. It was
Star
just
Wars,
because,
Star Wars.
and that was the main thing about this movie is that this movie I didn't expect to be disappointed from it because I was thinking there's no way they can do it. But this movie was doing stuff. Okay, it's like they're course correcting. Okay, they're doing this lead up to a point, and they had me again. They had me because I know J.J. Abrams can't fix a lot of the stuff Rian Johnson did. So they got up to a point, and then you get basically all the way to the end of the movie. You have me, all right, do this, and then they F it up again. And that's when, I guess, I won't talk about the spoilers, but there's just something they do that they had a chance to fix something, and they F it up again. And so that's why it's disappointing to me. I gave the movie a 7 out of 10, and if this one thing at the end would have been the way I thought it was going to go, it might have been a 9 or 10. But because it wasn't, it ends up a disappointing movie, which I really am disappointed because it tried to fix what Last Jedi did, got back to this point, and then messed up. It's my disappointing movie, my last main disappointing movie of 2019.
So the last one I was going to mention was Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. This one was one that was not very, it wasn't like it was bad, but there was just some disappointment. I wasn't that excited going into it,
Yeah.
but I just want to mention some things about it that I didn't really enjoy. Like the ending of it, I didn't really enjoy. They really, I really, it's very forgettable. Because right now I'm really having a hard time remembering how it ended. Remember, it was like a girl that was doing all this stuff, like writing the stories. But then when she got to her, first of all, she wasn't that scary when they saw her. But then like it just didn't make sense. Like there was no reason for her to be tormenting this girl when she didn't do anything wrong. That's probably why it's disappointing because it was so forgettable.
There was some transported back to her time and stuff.
Yeah, it was very confusing. There was some cool stuff about it. Don't get me wrong. Like the scarecrow sequence is probably easily the scariest part of the movie. The under the bed sequence is pretty scary too. But there was some disgusting crap in this movie that we don't need to see in these movies. We're not there. We're not here to see Saw.
I almost threw up.
Yeah, but there was some disgusting stuff, and that was just it's more just forgettable than it is bad. There was some good stuff. There was some good stuff, and then some just forgettable stuff. And that's where we're going to leave it here for top disappointing movies of 2019. So there you have it. You've seen our best movies of 2019 and most disappointing movies of 2019. But yeah, so this is probably the last video for 2019 as far as movies go. Maybe expect our most anticipated movies, maybe like top 3 most anticipated movies of 2020. Yeah. Maybe sometime in early January. Thanks for watching our most disappointing movies of 2019, and we will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys. And Happy New Year.
Bye, guys. Merry Christmas.
Yeah.